My name is Autumn Townsend. I'm 33 years old, and last Thanksgiving, my parents gave gifts to every grandchild at the table except mine. My sister's kids each received a wrapped box with a card that read, "To the grandkids who made us proud." My daughter Lily, who is 8, stared at the empty space in front of her. My son Sam, 5 years old, asked if Santa forgot him. My nephew Tyler, 14, glanced across the table at my children and laughed. Guess they didn't earn one. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I picked up my kids, grabbed our coats, and walked out of my parents' front door. When we got home, I sent one text to the family group chat, and within seconds my phone exploded. Mom, Dad, my sister Monica, all calling over and over. But what none of them knew was this. What I did next would cost them far more than a few gift bags. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories, the channel where ordinary people stand up for themselves, set boundaries, and take back their dignity one story at a time. If you've ever been the family member everyone overlooked, this story is for you. Leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe. Now let me explain how this all started. My family lives in small-town Ohio, Millfield, population around 12,000. My father, Frank, retired 3 years ago from county road maintenance. My mother, Diane, leads the Tuesday prayer circle at First Presbyterian and sees herself as the social center of our neighborhood. My older sister, Monica, married Craig Lawford, a dentist with his own practice 15 years ago. They have 3 kids, a large house, and 2 German cars parked in the driveway. I took a different path. I earned a culinary arts degree in Columbus and married Kyle at 24. In public, he was charming. In private, he was controlling. He decided when I could see friends. He controlled how every dollar was spent. When I discovered he had removed my name from our joint bank account without telling me, I filed for divorce. I was 28 years old. Lily was 3. Sam was only 5 months old. I moved back home for a while, rented a small 2-bedroom apartment on Oak Street, about 14 minutes from my parents' house, and started over with a secondhand mixer and a cottage food license. I named my small home bakery Towns and Sweets. Caramel apple pies, brown butter pecan tarts, lemon lavender scones. Every recipe was mine, developed during late nights when the kids were asleep and the kitchen felt like the only space that truly belonged to me. 2 years later, I had regular weekend orders and a growing Instagram following. Nothing massive, but enough to pay the bills and put Lily into dance lessons. My parents never forgave me for the divorce. Not because they liked Kyle. They barely knew him. They excused his absence the same way people excuse bad weather, as if it was simply something unavoidable. What they couldn't forgive was me leaving the marriage. In my family, being divorced was considered worse than being unhappy. At least unhappy people stayed quiet. The change happened gradually after the divorce. My mother stopped calling on Sundays. My father's monthly visits became whenever he was nearby, which apparently was never. Monica's children had birthday parties at my parents' house with bounce houses, catered trays from the deli, and 30 guests singing around a sheet cake with their names written in buttercream. When Bryce, Monica's youngest, turned 7, my parents spent nearly $400 on decorations alone. I know because my mother proudly mentioned the receipt at dinner like she was announcing an award. That same month, Sam turned 4. My mother claimed they were short on money and mailed a $20 Target gift card that arrived 3 days late. Lily noticed. Children always notice. She stopped asking to visit Grandma's house and started asking why Grandma never visited ours. I brought it up once, calmly, while sitting at my parents' kitchen table drinking coffee as the kids played outside on the swing set. Mom, the birthday situation? Sam notices. Lily notices. Diane stirred her coffee without looking up. Monica needs more help, Autumn. Craig works long hours. You've always been the independent one. Take it as a compliment. A compliment. That's what she called it. After that, I stopped arguing. I stopped expecting anything. But I didn't stop showing up, because every few weeks, Lily would look at me with those big brown eyes and ask, "Can we visit Grandma? Maybe she'll play cards with me this time." So I reduced the visits. Monthly became holidays only. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter if the weather cooperated. Just enough to let my children believe their grandmother remembered them. Just enough to preserve peace that was already falling apart. Thanksgiving morning, 6:47 a.m. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and brown butter. Sam sat on the counter licking caramel from a wooden spoon. Lily sat at the table, wrapping a drawing for Grandma in printer paper. A turkey made from painted handprints, signed carefully in second grade cursive. I slid my salted caramel apple pie into a carrier. It was the one dish everyone requested at every family gathering. The same pie Diane served to her prayer circle friends while letting them assume she made it herself. I never corrected her. Correcting people required energy I no longer had. We loaded into the minivan and drove 22 minutes across town. When I turned onto Maple Lane, Monica's pearl white Lexus was already in the driveway beside Craig's dark blue BMW. Every window in my parents' house glowed like a holiday postcard. Inside, the dining table was set for 10, turkey in the center, name cards written in Diane's looping handwriting. I pulled out Lily's chair and stopped. At Tyler's seat sat a small silver gift bag. At Emma's seat, another. At Bryce's, a third. At Lily's place, nothing. At Sam's, nothing. I stared at those empty spaces for 3 seconds before setting the pie carrier on the counter. Nobody reached for it. Nobody thanked me. Frank shook my hand instead of hugging me, like I was a neighbor returning borrowed tools. I told myself the bags were probably party favors for later. I told myself everyone would receive something after dinner. I told myself many things that year. Most of them were wrong. Dinner conversation revolved around Diane. She talked about Monica's new kitchen countertops, imported quartz, $12,000. She talked about Craig expanding his dental practice with a second office on the east side of town. She talked about Tyler making the travel soccer roster. Every conversation circled back to Monica's family. I mentioned that Towns and Sweets had been accepted for a booth at the Millfield Spring Farmers Market 3 months away, my first real public event. I had been preparing for it since September. Diane interrupted before I even finished. Frank, pass the gravy. Monica, tell everyone about Bryce's science project. Monica smiled. Craig kept cutting his turkey. Nobody looked at me. Lily sat beside Sam quietly, glancing at the silver bags near her cousin's seats. Her fingers traced the edge of her empty placemat. Sam still didn't notice. He was 5. At that age, children believe missing things will appear eventually. Monica leaned across the table. Autumn, have you thought about going back into restaurant work? More stability, benefits, health insurance for the kids. I set down my fork. I have insurance through the marketplace. Right, Monica replied with another smile, just thinking about the kids. Frank asked Sam what he wanted for Christmas, but before Sam could answer, Diane interrupted. Let's not talk about gifts right now. The irony of that sentence wouldn't hit me until 20 minutes later. I should have left then. But Sam was laughing with mashed potatoes on his chin, and for maybe 10 seconds, it looked like the kind of family I wanted my children to have. 10 seconds. Before dessert, Diane stood up, smoothed her blouse, pressed her hands together, and addressed the table like someone giving a formal speech. Before pie, Grandpa and I have something special. A little recognition for the grandkids who made us proud this year. She handed Tyler his silver bag first. Inside was a gaming headset worth around $80. I knew because Sam had circled the exact same one in a store flyer the week before. Tyler grinned. Thanks, Grandma. Emma opened a jewelry-making kit with real semi-precious beads. She squealed. Bryce got a Lego architecture Statue of Liberty set. Then Diane sat back down, folded her napkin, and picked up her wine glass. That was it. Sam looked at me, confused but not hurt yet. Where's ours, Mama? He whispered. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Lily didn't ask. She already understood. She pulled her handprint turkey drawing halfway from her jacket pocket, looked at it, then quietly pushed it back inside. She wasn't going to give it to Grandma anymore. Tyler put on the headset, adjusted it, looked at Lily and Sam, and laughed. Guess they didn't earn one. Nobody corrected him. Monica stared at her wine. Craig looked at the wall. Frank focused on his plate. Diane sipped her drink and stayed silent. The room was quiet, except for crinkling wrapping paper and the football game playing in the next room. And my 5-year-old son's face slowly changing from confusion into understanding no child should learn at a dinner table. I looked at Lily. Her hands rested flat in her lap, perfectly still, the way she holds them when she's trying not to cry. I looked at Sam, staring at Tyler's headset with an expression I recognized. The same expression I used to wear when my mother forgot my school recitals. Then I looked at my mother. She was calmly cutting turkey, chewing with the satisfaction of someone convinced she had taught an important lesson. I stood slowly and pushed in my chair. Lily, Sam, get your coats. Diane set down her knife. Autumn, sit down. You're overreacting. Get your coats, babies. We're leaving. I walked to the counter. My pie sat exactly where I had placed it 45 minutes earlier, untouched. Nobody had sliced it. Nobody had served it. Nobody had even moved the carrier. I wrapped it in the tea towel I brought and tucked it under my arm. Frank half stood from his chair. Come on, Autumn. It's Thanksgiving. I looked at him. Not for us, Dad. Lily slid from her chair and took Sam's hand. She reached into her pocket, touched the handprint turkey drawing she had painted the night before, signed Love Lily, age 8, then quietly folded it back inside. She walked toward the front door without looking back. Nobody followed us. I buckled Sam into his car seat. Lily climbed in silently and fastened her own belt. I started the engine, backed out of the driveway, and turned onto Maple Lane. Part of me expected someone to run outside. A knock on the window. A voice calling us back. But the porch light stayed on. The door stayed closed. The drive home took 22 minutes. Sam fell asleep against the window after 5 minutes. Lily sat silently with her hands folded in her lap. When we pulled into our driveway, she finally asked, Mama, why doesn't Grandma like us? I turned off the engine and sat quietly in the dark. The dashboard clock read 7:14. Grandma is confused right now, baby. That isn't your job to fix. I carried Sam inside, covered him with a blanket on the couch, and stood in the kitchen staring at my phone. The family group chat, Towns and Family Blessings, sat at the top of my messages. 19 members, though only 5 people ever actually posted. The last message was Diane sharing a pumpkin bread recipe 2 days earlier. I typed a short message. Don't invite us again. We're not your joke. Then I added one more line. Your gift is on the way. I didn't even know exactly what that meant yet, but I sent it anyway. Within 30 seconds, I had 4 missed calls. Mom, Dad, Monica. Mom again. A text from Diane. You're being dramatic. Call me now. A text from Monica. Seriously? It was just gifts. A text from Frank. Your mother is crying. I turned my phone face down, walked to the refrigerator, cut 2 slices of salted caramel apple pie, the same pie nobody touched at my parents' house, and placed them on the kitchen table. Lily sat across from me. We ate quietly while Sam slept on the couch, and my phone buzzed endlessly against the granite countertop like something trapped in a jar. I still didn't know what "your gift is on the way" meant, but I knew I was finished pretending. The next morning, I woke up to 47 unread messages in the group chat. Diane had written a long explanation, 4 perfect paragraphs that sounded like they had been drafted in a Word document first. According to her, the gifts were meant to reward academic achievement. Tyler made the honor roll. Emma won the district spelling bee. Bryce earned a citizenship award at school. It was meant to motivate them, she wrote. We hoped it would encourage Lily and Sam to work harder. Sam was 5 years old. He attended preschool. His greatest achievement that year was learning to zip his own jacket. Frank sent me a separate private message. Your mom never intended to hurt anyone. Come for Christmas. We can talk. Monica texted too. If your kids were involved in more activities, maybe they would have received something too. Don't blame Mom for your choices. I read every message twice. Then I saved screenshots of all of them. I never replied. At 9 a.m., I called Patty Guyan. Patty owns the flower shop on Main Street. She's 58, originally from Houston, and the type of woman who says exactly what she means. She had known me since I moved back to Millfield and bought 24 lemon scones from me every Friday for her shop. I told her everything. The gift bags, Diane's speech, Tyler's comment, walking out. Patty stayed quiet for about 3 seconds. Then she said, Honey, that's not tough love, that's cruelty with place cards. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in 12 hours. Save those messages, Patty told me. Every one of them. You may need them later. I didn't know why yet, but I saved them all. December arrived cold and silent. No calls from Diane, no visits from Frank. The family group chat sat motionless like a room after an argument, everyone waiting for someone else to speak first. I buried myself in Towns and Sweets. Holiday orders doubled compared to the previous year, mostly from word of mouth after a November craft fair. I completed 73 orders in 3 weeks. Pumpkin ginger tarts, cranberry almond biscotti, salted caramel apple pies. The same pies ignored at my parents' house, now selling out every Saturday from my kitchen. I applied for a spring booth at the Millfield Farmers Market. The application was 2 pages plus references. Patty wrote one. My culinary school instructor, who still remembered me after 9 years, wrote the other. I mailed the application during the first week of December and tried not to check the mailbox every afternoon afterward. I also went to the county clerk's office and upgraded my cottage food license to a full food handler permit. 12 hours of classes, $65. One laminated certificate now hanging on the refrigerator beside Lily's spelling tests and Sam's finger paintings. On Christmas Eve, a card arrived from my parents addressed only to Lily and Sam, not Autumn. My name wasn't on the envelope. Inside was a $25 Target gift card and a note written in Diane's handwriting. Merry Christmas to our grandchildren. Love, Grandma and Grandpa. Lily looked at the card, then looked at me. Mama, Grandma forgot your name. She didn't forget, baby. Grandma is angry with me, and that still isn't your problem to fix. Lily nodded and returned to her coloring book. Sam taped the gift card to the refrigerator like a trophy. He was 5. He still didn't understand exclusion. I hoped he never would. January arrived. One Tuesday morning after dropping Sam off at Little Stars Preschool, another parent, Karen Bledsoe, gave me a strange look. Half pity, half curiosity, like someone slowing down to stare at a car accident. I heard about your Thanksgiving, she said. Your mom told my mom at church. I didn't ask which version Diane had been sharing. I already knew. Over the next 2 weeks, the full story became clear. Diane had rewritten the entire situation and spread her version through First Presbyterian like a rehearsed hymn everyone already knew. According to her version, Autumn abandoned the family on Thanksgiving. She broke her mother's heart. She refused to let Diane see the grandchildren. She punished her parents for loving Monica's children. Not one mention of the gift bags. Not one mention of Tyler's comment. Not one mention that 2 children under 10 sat at a holiday table receiving nothing while their cousins opened presents 6 feet away. Then my bakery orders started slowing down. 2 regular customers canceled. One even texted, "Sorry, I just don't want to get caught in the middle." That night, I sat at my kitchen table looking at my spreadsheet. December, 73 orders. January so far, 41. 2 large weekly accounts gone. Revenue down 19% in 3 weeks. My mother wasn't simply trying to guilt me back into the family. She was damaging the business I depended on to survive. That evening, Patty called again. "People are talking, Autumn. Diane told the Tuesday prayer group that you abandoned the family." I opened my laptop, created a folder labeled documentation, then started a spreadsheet called canceled orders. Every name, every date, every excuse. I still didn't fully know what I was building, but I was building something. Late in January, Patty sent me a screenshot with no explanation, only a downward arrow emoji. It was Monica's Instagram. A brand new account launched that week. Lafford Kitchen. Custom cakes, pies, and pastries for every occasion. The bio read, "Family recipes made with love." The logo showed a rolling pin inside a wheat wreath. The color palette was warm golden cream, close enough to mine to look almost identical. I scrolled through the photos. Salted caramel apple pie, brown butter pecan tarts, lemon lavender scones. Every single item came directly from my menu, photographed on marble countertops that cost more than my monthly rent. Monica had blocked me, the comments were so glowing. I could only see what Patty These forwarded. Look amazing. Do you deliver? I love that you're keeping family traditions alive. And every time, Monica replied the same way. Thank you so much. My grandmother taught me. Our grandmother never baked. She lived in Dayton, played bridge every Friday, and passed away when I was 12 and Monica was 16. She never once stood in a kitchen teaching either of us anything. I checked the county food license database. No listing for Lafford Kitchen. No cottage food permit. No food handler certification. She was operating from home without a single legal document in place. But the thing that made my hands shake wasn't the licensing issue. It was her latest post. A photo of her version of my salted caramel apple pie. My recipe, the one that took 14 test batches and 3 months to perfect. The caption read, "A recipe passed down through generations." Underneath it was a comment from Diane Townsend. So proud of my girl. 6 months earlier, when I asked my mother to share my bakery flyer with her church group, she told me, "We can only invest in one family, Autumn." Now I finally understood exactly what she meant. February. I called a small business attorney in the next town over, Rachel Kim. Her office sat above a dry cleaner on Route 9, and her first 30-minute consultation was free. I brought a folder, not a small one. Rachel reviewed everything with the calm expression of someone used to reading difficult situations for a living. My Towns and Suites cottage food license, registered 2 years earlier, 153 order receipts, all time-stamped, 28 Instagram posts dating back 22 months showing original recipe photos. My culinary school notebook, handwritten and dated with instructor notes in red ink. Customer emails, county permit upgrade paperwork. She looked up from the folder. How long has your sister been operating? About 3 weeks. Any formal culinary training? She took a cake decorating class at the community center in 2019. Rachel closed the folder. You have common law trademark rights through prior use. If she registers a name or product line that creates confusion with yours, we can oppose it. She opened Monica's Instagram page on her phone and compared the posts side by side with my documentation. This isn't competition, she said calmly. This is appropriation. Keep documenting everything. Every post, every comment claiming these are family recipes, every order she takes. If she files a trademark, we oppose it immediately. I asked how much it would cost. Her hourly rate was $175, but a trademark opposition filing would be a flat $1,500. She told me to think about it. I drove home with the windows down, even though it was February and 38 degrees outside. For the first time in months, I felt something I almost forgot existed. Certainty. Late February. An email arrived from the Millfield Farmers Market. My booth had been approved. Slot 14 between Patty's flower stand and the honey vendor. Opening day, the third Saturday in March. That same afternoon, the market coordinator called me. Her name was Deborah, and she sounded like someone trying carefully to stay neutral. Autumn, I wanted to give you a heads up. We received another application for a baked goods booth. The product line overlaps heavily with yours. She never said Monica's name. She didn't need to. Is the applicant licensed? I asked. A pause. That's between the applicant and the county. Monica had applied for the market. Someone had told her about my booth. 3 months of silence from my family, and suddenly my sister planned to set up 3 tables away from me. Her Instagram following had climbed to 900. Mine sat just above 600. She had Craig's dental practice income supporting professional marketing, product photography, vinyl banners, a website with online ordering, things I couldn't afford yet. I opened my spreadsheet again. January, 41 orders. February so far, 22. Revenue down 44% from December. That week, a customer sent me a message. Your sister says she taught you how to bake. Is that true? I stared at the message for a full minute before replying. No, I went to culinary school. I created every recipe myself. Oh, she replied. She made it sound like you copied her. I screenshotted the conversation, saved it in the documentation folder, and forwarded it to Rachel. 44%. That wasn't a seasonal slowdown. That was someone with a dentist's income, my recipes, and my family's support taking customers directly from my business. Early March. Patty called one Wednesday evening, her voice tense and urgent. Come to the shop right now. There's something you need to see. I got there in 9 minutes. Patty stood behind the counter holding out her phone like evidence in court. Her daughter Jess was friends with Monica's babysitter, a college student named Alyssa who watched Tyler, Emma, and Bryce twice a week. Alyssa accidentally sent screenshots to Jess instead of her roommate. Group chat screenshots, not the Townsend Family Blessings thread. A different chat, 3 members, Diane, Frank, Monica. The group name was Planning Committee. The messages were dated 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Diane, get gift bags for the 3 kids, not Autumn's. She needs to understand there are consequences for pulling away. Monica, Craig can get the headsets wholesale. I'll handle the rest. Is this really necessary? If she wants back in this family, she needs to show up properly. This will motivate her. Then one more message, sent the day after Thanksgiving after we walked out. She'll come crawling back by Christmas. I stood there in the flower shop, surrounded by the smell of eucalyptus and cold water, while my hands went numb. It was never about achievement. It was never about motivation. It was planned, deliberate punishment aimed at my children, ages 8 and 5, to force me back into a family where obedience was treated as the price of belonging. Patty didn't say anything. She simply rested her hand on my shoulder and let me stand there until I could breathe normally again. If you've ever learned that people you trusted planned to hurt you, planned it like an organized project with shopping lists and group chats, then you understand this feeling. You understand why I kept going. If you're still watching, leave a comment and tell me if you've ever uncovered the truth about someone you loved. And subscribe if you haven't already, because what happened at the farmer's market is where this story truly changed. March 1st. Rachel called before I finished my morning coffee. Your sister filed a state trademark application. Lawford Kitchen Artisan Sweets and Pastries. The product categories overlap completely with yours. I set my mug down. Can she do that? Anyone can file, Rachel replied. The real question is whether it survives, and it won't. Your prior use documentation is extremely strong. Every receipt, every post, every permit, all of it dated at least 20 months before Monica's business existed. Rachel filed a formal opposition for Towns and Sweets within 5 days. The filing fee was $1,500. I paid it using the savings I had set aside for a commercial mixer. The mixer could wait. My business name couldn't. That same week, Monica posted another photo of her version of my salted caramel apple pie. Golden lighting, marble countertop, one slice plated beside a rosemary sprig. Caption, my grandmother's recipe perfected. 47 likes, heart emojis, order requests. I opened my culinary school notebook, page 34. Salted caramel apple pie. Final version marked with my instructor's red ink notes, dated 18 months before Monica posted her first bakery photo. I photographed every page front and back, uploaded everything into a time-stamped cloud folder, and shared access with Rachel. My grandmother didn't perfect this recipe. My grandmother made Jell-O salad and store-bought dinner rolls. She played bridge every Friday and died when I was 12. My sister was building a business on a lie, and my mother kept leaving heart emojis under every post, like someone proudly watering a garden she planted herself. Rachel's words from our first meeting stayed in my head. Prior use beats filing dates. Every receipt you saved is another brick in your wall. I had plenty of bricks. Mid-March, the Millfield Farmers Market held a vendor meeting at the community center. 32 booths confirmed. Deborah reviewed setup times, health code rules, and parking passes. I arrived early and arranged my sample table carefully. 3 pies sliced thin, printed menus, business cards with a QR code linked to Instagram, clean white tablecloth, hand-lettered chalkboard signs. 20 minutes later, Monica walked in. She carried a rolled-up vinyl banner and matching gold packaging for her samples. She saw me immediately, paused for half a second, then chose a table on the opposite side of the room. Other vendors noticed. Dan, the honey seller who had worked the market for 11 years, leaned toward Patty during the break. Those two have the exact same menu. That can't be coincidence. Patty sipped her coffee. No, it definitely isn't. After the meeting, Deborah quietly pulled me aside near the water fountain. I need both of you to coexist during market days. If there's a business dispute, I can't mediate it. I nodded. Understood. She glanced toward the door Monica had just walked through before lowering her voice. For what it's worth, your cottage food license predates the other application by 23 months. That's public record? I checked. Then she walked away before I could answer. Patty waited beside my car holding a bouquet of sunflowers wrapped in cellophane, the same flowers she displayed every Friday after deliveries arrived. She handed them to me. What are these for? For your booth on opening day. Let your work speak for itself, honey. It'll speak louder than gossip ever will in this town. I placed the flowers on the passenger seat and drove home with the windows cracked, even though it was only 42 degrees outside. Late March. Rachel called again with an update. The state trademark office flagged your sister's application. Your opposition is officially under review. Based on your documentation, 2 years of receipts, 28 Instagram posts, the cottage food license, the culinary notebook, your case is strong. Strong. She said it carefully, professionally, the way doctors say stable when things are finally improving. Orders slowly started returning. 2 former customers contacted me during the same week. One woman named Claire, who bought pies every Sunday for her book club, said, "I compared the Instagram dates. I didn't realize your sister started after you." "She did," I replied, "by about 20 months." "I feel terrible," Claire admitted. "I ordered from her twice." "You didn't know." That week she ordered 3 pies and recommended me to her entire book club. I never talked publicly about Monica. I never mentioned the trademark dispute, the screenshots, or the gossip campaign. Instead, I kept posting consistently. Photos of my kitchen at 5 in the morning, Sam with flour on his nose, Lily arranging pie samples for the market. Real life. My life. My Instagram following climbed steadily, 1,100. Then a local food blogger named Tess reached out. "I love the story behind Townsend Sweets. Single mom, culinary school background, home bakery. Can I profile your business?" The article went live during the 2nd week of March. It was honest, specific, and direct. It mentioned my culinary degree, my cottage food license date, the 2 years I spent building the business from scratch. It never mentioned Monica. It didn't need to. The article reached 6,000 views in 7 days. Comments poured in. This is what real entrepreneurship looks like. For the first time, strangers saw what my own family never wanted to acknowledge. Then Diane appeared at my front door one Wednesday evening. No warning, no phone call, just her car in my driveway and her knuckles against the screen door. I hadn't seen her in 4 months. She looked thinner, freshly colored hair, perfect lipstick. Diane never wore lipstick unless she arrived intending to make a point. "We need to discuss this legal situation," she said from the porch. "You need to drop it." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me so the kids wouldn't hear. Which legal situation? This issue with Monica, the trademark nonsense. You're embarrassing the family. Which part is embarrassing? The part where she stole my recipes or the part where you helped her? Diane's jaw tightened. Nobody stole anything. Those recipes came from my kitchen. They're family recipes. I developed them in culinary school. I still have the notebooks with dated instructor notes. She shifted strategies instantly, lowering her voice into guilt. "I'm your mother. I carried you, and now you're choosing a pie business over your family." I looked directly at her. No anger, no shaking voice. "You chose gift bags for 3 children and empty places for 2. You made the first choice, Mom, not me." Something crossed her face for a brief second. Not guilt, recognition, the expression of someone trapped inside their own logic with nowhere left to go. She left without another word, walked to her car, turned right onto Oak Street, and drove away. I watched her taillights disappear before going back inside to finish frosting lemon lavender scones for Saturday's market. Frank called 2 days later, first time since Thanksgiving. His voice sounded exhausted in a way that went beyond lack of sleep. He cleared his throat twice. "Autumn, you need to understand something. Your mother isn't sleeping. She isn't eating properly. This whole situation is affecting her badly." I leaned against the kitchen counter while Sam watched cartoons in the living room and Lily worked on homework nearby. "Dad, she planned the Thanksgiving exclusion in a group chat 2 weeks beforehand. I have screenshots." Silence, the kind that sounds like a door closing quietly. "Where did you get those?" "Does it matter?" More silence. I could hear him breathing. "Your mother just wants you to come home, Autumn. Home isn't a place where my children are used as leverage. She loves those kids. She excluded them from gift bags and told her church friends I abandoned the family. That isn't love, Dad. That's control." His voice cracked. "What do you want me to do?" And there it was. The sentence that explained my father completely. He wasn't asking because he wanted to act. He was asking because he had spent his entire life not knowing how. 64 years old, healthy, retired, present, still waiting for someone else to tell him the correct thing to do. "Ask yourself why you never said no to her," I told him. "Ask yourself why you allowed it." He hung up. I cried that night after the kids were asleep. Not because I lost my father. I had lost him years earlier, without either of us saying it aloud. I cried because he finally confirmed it. The week before the grand opening of the Millfield Farmers Market, I sat on my living room floor surrounded by Rachel's documents spread across the carpet like evidence in a trial. Trademark opposition filed, Acknowledged, under review, prior use evidence packet, 43 dated invoices, 28 Instagram screenshots, cottage food license scans, 8 customer testimonials, each signed and dated. Rachel had organized everything into a laminated one-page timeline. Left column, Towns and Suites, established October 2023. Right column, Lawford Kitchen, established January 2026. Underneath were the dates, posts, and receipts. 23 months of difference laid out clearly in 12-point font. I never asked Rachel to make the timeline. She said she thought I might want something physical I could hold on to. That Thursday night, I baked test batches. Sam sat on the counter licking caramel from a spoon. Same counter, same spoon as Thanksgiving morning. Lily stamped napkins with the Towns and Suites logo, carefully centering each print. Mama, are we gonna sell a lot? I hope so, baby. More than Aunt Monica? I stopped rolling dough. Lily looked at me with an expression far too mature for an 8-year-old. She understood more than I realized. We're gonna sell what we make, I told her, and we're gonna be proud of it. She nodded and continued stamping napkins. I placed Rachel's folder into my market tote, the laminated timeline, evidence binder, culinary notebook. I wasn't planning a confrontation, I was planning a booth. But I packed the folder the same way people carry umbrellas when the sky looks uncertain, just in case. Saturday morning, 5:45 a.m. Millfield Town Square sat mostly dark except for pavilion string lights and vendor headlights pulling in one by one. I unloaded the minivan, 4 coolers filled with pie slices, 2 trays of tarts, chalkboard signs, sample plates, white tablecloth. Sam stayed home with Patty's husband Doug, who volunteered to babysit. Lily came with me, she insisted. My booth was slot 14. I set up the white tablecloth first, then the chalkboard menus, then ceramic sample plates with toothpicks. Patty's sunflowers went into a mason jar at the corner of the table. Lily taped a colored pencil drawing to the front of the booth. Towns and Suites made with love. She drew it the night before. 3 booths to my left, Monica arrived at 6:30. Professional vinyl banner. Gold-lettered signage, matching branded boxes stacked in display crates. Craig's BMW idled at the curb while she unloaded. He handed her a check and drove away. My name is Autumn Townsend. I'm 33 years old. Last Thanksgiving, my parents gave gifts to every grandchild at the table except mine. My sister's children each received a wrapped box with a card that read, "To the grandkids who made us proud." My daughter Lily, who was 8, stared at the empty place in front of her. My son Sam, 5 years old, asked if Santa forgot him. My nephew Tyler, 14, looked across the table at my kids and laughed. Guess they didn't earn one. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I picked up my children, grabbed our coats, and walked out of my parents' house. Once we got home, I sent one text to the family group chat, and within seconds, my phone started ringing nonstop. Mom, Dad, my sister Monica. But none of them knew this. What I did next would cost them much more than a gift bag. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories, the channel where ordinary people stand up for themselves, set boundaries, and take back their dignity, one story at a time. If you have ever been the family member people overlooked, this story is for you. Leave a comment and subscribe. Here's how it all started. My family lives in small-town Ohio, Millfield, population around 12,000. My father, Frank, retired 3 years ago from county road maintenance. My mother, Diane, leads the Tuesday prayer circle at First Presbyterian and sees herself as the social center of the neighborhood. My older sister, Monica, married Craig Lawford, a dentist with his own practice, 15 years ago. They have 3 children, a large house, and 2 German cars parked outside. I took another path. I earned a culinary arts degree in Columbus and married Kyle when I was 24. He was charming around other people but controlling at home. He decided when I could see friends. He controlled how I spent money. When I discovered he had removed my name from our joint checking account without telling me, I filed for divorce. I was 28. Lily was 3. Sam was 5 months old. I moved back home and rented a 2-bedroom apartment on Oak Street, 14 minutes from my parents' house. I started over with a used mixer and a cottage food license. I named my small bakery Towns and Suites, caramel apple pies, brown butter pecan tarts, lemon lavender scones. Every recipe was mine, created during late nights when the kids were asleep and the kitchen felt like the only space that belonged to me. 2 years later, I had regular weekend orders and a growing Instagram audience. Nothing massive, but enough to pay bills and enroll Lily in dance class. My parents never forgave me for the divorce. Not because they liked Kyle. They barely knew him. They excused his absence the same way they excused bad weather. Just something unavoidable. What they couldn't forgive was me choosing to leave the marriage. In my family, divorce was worse than unhappiness. At least unhappy people stayed quiet. Things shifted slowly after the divorce. My mother stopped calling on Sundays. My father's monthly visits became whenever he was nearby, which somehow became never. Monica's children got birthday parties at my parents' house with bounce houses, catered food trays, and 30 guests singing around custom cakes. When Bryce, Monica's youngest, turned 7, my parents spent nearly $400 on decorations alone. I know because my mother proudly mentioned the receipt at dinner. That same month, Sam turned 4. My mother said money was tight. She mailed a $20 Target gift card. It arrived 3 days late. Lily noticed. Children always notice. She stopped asking to visit Grandma's house and started asking why Grandma never came to ours. I mentioned it once, calmly, over coffee at my parents' kitchen table while the kids played outside. Mom, the birthday thing. Sam notices. Lily notices. Diane stirred her coffee without looking up. Monica needs more support, Autumn. Craig works long hours. You've always been the independent one. Take it as a compliment. A compliment. That's what she called it. After that, I stopped arguing. I stopped expecting anything. But I kept showing up because every few weeks Lily would ask, "Can we go see Grandma? Maybe she'll play cards with me this time." So I reduced visits. Monthly became holidays only. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter if the weather was good enough. Just enough for my children to believe their grandmother still remembered them. Just enough to maintain peace I was already losing. Thanksgiving morning, 6:47. The kitchen smelled like brown butter and cinnamon. Sam sat on the counter licking caramel from a wooden spoon. Lily wrapped a drawing for Grandma in printer paper. A turkey made from painted handprints, signed in careful second-grade cursive. I placed my salted caramel apple pie into a carrier. It was the one dish everyone requested at family gatherings. The same pie Diane served to her prayer circle friends while letting them assume she baked it herself. I never corrected her. I didn't have the energy. We drove 22 minutes across town. When I turned onto Maple Lane, Monica's white Lexus was already in the driveway. Craig's BMW sat beside it. Inside, the dining table was set for 10, turkey in the center, name cards in Diane's looping handwriting. I pulled out Lily's chair and stopped. At Tyler's place sat a sparkly silver gift bag. At Emma's, another. At Bryce's, a third. At Lily's place, nothing. At Sam's, nothing. I stared at those empty spots for 3 seconds before setting the pie carrier on the counter. Nobody reached for it. Nobody thanked me. Frank shook my hand instead of hugging me, like I was a neighbor returning borrowed tools. I told myself the bags were probably party favors for later. I told myself everyone would get something after dinner. I told myself many things that year. Most of them were wrong. Dinner conversation revolved around Monica's family. Diane talked about Monica's new quartz countertops, Craig's second dental office, Tyler making the travel soccer team. Every topic circled back to them. I mentioned that Towns and Sweets had been accepted for a booth at the Millfield Spring Farmers Market, my first public event after months of preparation. Before I could finish, Diane changed the subject. Frank, pass the gravy. Monica, tell everyone about Bryce's science project. Nobody looked at me. Lily sat quietly beside Sam, glancing at the silver gift bags beside her cousin's seats. Her fingers traced the edge of her empty placemat. Sam still believed missing things would appear later. Monica leaned forward. Autumn, have you thought about going back into restaurant work? Stability, benefits, health insurance. I have insurance through the marketplace, I replied. Right, Monica said with a smile, just thinking about the kids. Later, Frank asked Sam what he wanted for Christmas, but Diane interrupted. Let's not discuss gifts right now. The irony didn't hit me until later. I should have left then. But Sam was laughing at something Tyler said, mashed potatoes on his chin, and for about 10 seconds it looked like the kind of family I wanted my children to have. 10 seconds. Before dessert, Diane stood up and addressed the table like she was giving a formal announcement. Before pie, Grandpa and I have something special. A little recognition for the grandkids who made us proud this year. She handed Tyler his bag first. Inside was a gaming headset Sam had circled in a toy flyer the week before. Emma received a jewelry-making kit with semi-precious beads. Bryce got a Lego architecture set. Then Diane sat down, folded her napkin, and picked up her wine glass. That was it. Sam looked at me, confused more than hurt. "Where's ours, Mama?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Lily already understood. She pulled the handprint turkey drawing halfway out of her pocket, looked at it, then slid it back inside. She wasn't giving it to Grandma anymore. Tyler adjusted his new headset, looked at Lily and Sam, then laughed. Guess they didn't earn one. Nobody corrected him. Monica studied her wine. Craig stared at the wall. Frank looked at his plate. Diane stayed silent. The room only had the sound of wrapping paper and the football game in the next room. And my 5-year-old son, slowly realizing something no child should learn at a holiday table. I looked at Lily. Her hands rested flat in her lap, the way they do when she's trying not to cry. I looked at Sam staring at Tyler's headset with an expression I recognized from my own childhood. Then I looked at my mother, calmly cutting turkey like she believed she had taught an important lesson. I stood up slowly and pushed in my chair. Lily, Sam, get your coats. Diane set down her knife. Autumn, sit down. You're overreacting. Get your coats, baby. We're going home. I walked to the counter. My pie sat exactly where I left it 45 minutes earlier, untouched. Nobody had sliced it. Nobody had moved it. I wrapped it in the tea towel I brought and tucked it under my arm. Frank half stood from his chair. Come on, Autumn, it's Thanksgiving. I looked at him. Not for us, Dad. Lily quietly folded her turkey drawing back into her pocket and walked toward the front door, holding Sam's hand. Nobody followed us. I buckled Sam into his car seat. Lily clicked her own seatbelt into place. I started the engine and backed out of the driveway. I expected someone to come outside, a knock on the window, a voice calling after us. Nothing. The porch light stayed on. The front door stayed closed. The drive home took 22 minutes. Sam fell asleep against the window after 5 minutes. Lily stayed silent until we reached the driveway. Mama, why doesn't Grandma like us? I turned off the engine and sat quietly for a moment. The dashboard clock read 7:14. Grandma is confused right now, baby. That's not your problem to fix. I carried Sam inside, laid him on the couch with a blanket, and stood in the kitchen staring at my phone. The family group chat, Towns and Family Blessings, sat at the top of my messages. 19 members. Only 5 people ever posted. I typed one short message. Don't invite us again. We're not your joke. Then I added one more line. Your gift is on the way. I didn't even know what that meant yet. I pressed send anyway.